good morning, or should I greet you as CS aspirants? Well, congratulations that you have chosen CS to be your profession, right, in future. Now, what do we do today? I'll just take you through a part of the paper called VIVA VOCE. My name is Pannamma MN. I have been with Excel Academies since a couple of months or so. You have about 4 or 5 papers which you study in the initial CSEET Foundation course. In that, CSEET course rather, in that, in part B, paper 4, you have something called VIVA VOCE. Okay, you'll be studying legal aptitude and economics and accountancy and business communication, right? Whereas this paper, it has part A and part B. In this part A, you'd be discussing current news awareness with Ramcharan sir, and the other half, VIVA VOCE, I'll be discussing with you. Now, VIVA VOCE carries 30 marks. It's very simple. You either score 30 marks or you don't. If you really put a little bit of effort and understand the importance of VIVA VOCE, then you'll be able to score all 30. It generally happens that right from your school days or college days, if you have noticed, it generally happens that a lot of importance is given to the so-called core subjects. It could be in school, it could be science and math and stuff like that, right? Or when you chose commerce in PU, it would be probably economics and accountancy and stuff like that. All true, the languages take a back seat. If you have some events in the school or college, it's the language class which is sacrificed, right? Your language class is given for any event, but the core classes are not. So somewhere in the bargain, we fail to understand the importance of a particular language. It could be English or it could be any language. It could be national language or the state language or the vernacular. We fail to give importance to that for the simple reason the schools, the education institutions don't give importance to those. But what you realize is when you take up a professional course or when you become a professional after your course study or graduation, if you cannot communicate fluently in English, you are nowhere. I'm not demotivating you. I'm not humiliating you, but I'm telling the fact as it is. Please do understand that you have great knowledge, but you're not able to express it. You are nowhere. You speak very well and you don't have knowledge, again, you're nowhere, right? So if you have to make a mark in your profession, if you have to score very well, if you have to be the so-called real educated or a professional, you should be able to communicate very, very, very fluently. Keeping that in mind, you have this all-important paper, business communication, which Madhuri ma'am will be teaching. And then I would be discussing VIVA VOCE. Now, you may be wondering why VIVA VOCE for a CS? What is VIVA VOCE? What is VIVA VOCE? Is there anybody who could just tell me what a VIVA VOCE is? VIVA VOCE is I should say, a test, which is not a written, right? In school, probably you had this oral exam, oral test when you're small little kids. That was to find out how well you can speak. That was the importance given to speaking. Now, VIVA VOCE is a session or an examination session where you would be asked questions and you will have to answer well. When you say well, it has 2 aspects. One is the content should be correct, factual content. The second should be the way you express. You should express clearly. The communication should be smooth, right? So this is one of the priorities for any profession. You could be a banker, you could be a CS, you could be a CA, you could be an engineer, you could be a doctor, you could be a hairdresser, you could be anything, you could be a business person. Yet, please remember, one of the most important aspects is communication. So now I'll be talking or taking you through the syllabus for VIVA VOCE. Please understand, business communication is a different paper. This is part of paper 4, right? Part B, this is part B. Part A is CNA, current business news, the current news awareness. Part B is that. I would not be touching upon anything which is studied in business communication, right? I'll be discussing something which is very, very relevant to VIVA VOCE. Sometimes they overlap. They're not two different subjects. That was basically theory and this could be practical, right? So there will be a little bit of overlapping. Nevertheless, this is just to prepare you to speak well. Unfortunately, we've been brought up saying that write well in the examination, get marks. Very few people give importance to speaking, right? Very few people worry about what do we do after we get the job. Score good marks so that you get the job. Score very good marks so that you become a professional. After that, if you cannot speak well, communicate well, you're nowhere. So when I talk about speaking fluently in English, we're talking only about English now. It's not just that you speak, you have to speak in such a way that other person understands very well and there is very, very minimal miscommunication, right? Minimal miscommunication. So why do this miscommunication happen, misunderstanding happen? It also happens during your conversation in your mother tongue. At home, when you're talking to your parents or siblings or anybody, where you speak your mother tongue, even there you end up saying, no, I did not mean that. You misunderstood me. No, I said this, you said that. No, I did not say that, I meant that. So even in our mother tongue, you're very comfortable, we make this error. What is that error? We would have chosen the right word, appropriate word. Grammar also to an extent it is correct, right? But the tone with which we speak was inappropriate, right? Or we were insensitive to the mood of the other person. So you were very casual and that person was not in that state of mind. So again, it leads to miscommunication. So what happens in the family could happen in the organization too. Initially, when you go to an organization, when you work there, you're very formal initially. After that, you make friends. That's when you become a little casual and all these problems start. So communication is not just about the grammar, not just about the vocabulary, not just about the sentence formation, but also many more. So during VIVA VOCE sessions, you will understand why it is important to learn a language. Here we're talking about English. Learn a language in a particular manner so that we make very less errors, very less mistakes, right? So before I take you through the syllabus, I'll just let you glance over the syllabus. Again, when I say glance, I'm not going to show you the picture of the syllabus. You will listen now, right? You will listen. I'll glance over and just utter a few words which you will have to listen to. Now, why am I stressing on this word listen? Why am I stressing on the word listen? Most of our communication happens by listening appropriately, listening properly. I may be speaking now to you, but you may be slightly distracted because there's something else on your phone, or there may be somebody passing by in your house, wherever you're seated, or somebody else is sitting across the table wherever you're seated and doing their work, or the TV is on but muted, or one of your family members' phone may ring, or there is traffic, or there's a bird chirping. So what happens? You stop listening to me. You just hear me. You just stop listening to me. Then again, there's a problem. So I'm stressing on the word listening. One is because you must really listen to what I'm saying so that you don't miss what I'm saying. You may feel, okay, we get the syllabus copy later, so what? Never have that attitude. Certain things may happen later or may not happen later. Now, the present situation is a typical example. We postpone a lot of things in the month of December, January to be doing later in February or even March to be doing later. Now, can we do them? No. So there are a lot many unexpected things happening in our lives. So never keep anything for later. You'll get the syllabus later, but pay attention to what I'm saying. And one more important point is listening skill is one of the chapters in this syllabus. Okay. Now, this paper 4, part 2B is called Presentation and Communication Skills. What is it called? Presentation and Communication Skills. Now, what do you understand by presentation and communication? What is presentation? Okay, for most of you, presentation is a PPT, PowerPoint presentation. And all of us think you're very good at communication just because we can speak, right? Okay, I'll come back to it later. Right, we have three components. The first one is listening skill. Presentation communication skill is what your paper called. It is for VIVA VOCE. It's for 30 marks. In that, we have three chapters or three concepts. The first one is listening skills. Now, if they have dedicated one chapter on listening skills, you must understand the importance of listening skills. All these syllabus, everything are put together or made or compiled after a lot of research, after a lot of study. Somebody would have studied the professionals during their course or after that. Somebody would have observed the lacunas and they have realized this is very important because people are not listening. People always feel we have a copy of this, we can read later. You belong to this Netflix and prime time and all this kind of era where you can watch when you want to watch, where you can replay and watch anytime you want. But everything in life is not like that. You cannot replay everything in life. And people are not around to keep on repeating what you should know. Just this morning, I was talking to a youngster. I heard him saying, okay, cool. What is cool? I don't know. You also have the habit of saying cool, right? Okay, I don't know what is cool, but tell once. Okay, cool. Cool. There's so much of tension in that cool. I was asking, why do you say cool so often? No, I wanted him to understand. I said, no. Start a culture where you tell once and the person should understand and take you seriously. There's a book called 1 Minute Manager. Most of you may have the habit of reading books, or should I say most of you may not have the habit of reading books, irrespective of that. Please cultivate the habit of reading book and read this book, 1 Minute Manager. Right? Anyway, coming back to this, I did not deviate from the topic. I was explaining to you the importance of listening. People will not keep on repeating. You expect your bosses or the company to which you work or the legal expert who would be dealing with you keep on repeating. Never. He have many things to do. People have many work to do. So establish this habit of listening. And what's the difference between hearing and listening? I'll come to it later. So under listening, we have subtopics. The first one is called questions based on audio clips. Questions based on audio clips. If I give you a sheet of paper and I tell you to read, it is not listening. On the other hand, you have no written material, hard copy or soft copy, neither hard copy nor soft copy. You have no written material. You just hear somebody speaking. It could be a teacher, it could be a client, it could be a boss, anybody, right? You just have to pay attention to what that person speaks. Is there a noise? My ears started making, yeah. So there's some information you have to listen to. It is not given in the form of a printout or a soft copy. So get into the habit of listening to. So the activity here is you'll be made to listen to an audio clip, or you will be made to listen to somebody speaking. It could be people like us or some other professionals, right? Or an expert in the field. You just have to pay attention to what they speak, and then you'll have to answer the questions. It sounds very easy. It is not, unless you cultivate the habit of listening. So in that, there are two types of audio clips which would be played to you. One is the monologue, and the other is dialogue. Correct? One is monologue, and the other is the dialogue. So what is a monologue? What is a monologue? Okay, I'll come back to this. What's a dialogue? Now, why I'm going to dialogue is for the simple reason. I've heard, most of you will be talking, watching some series or movies, and you repeat the dialogue or remember the dialogue, and you say, oh, what a wonderful delivery of dialogue, right? We misuse or abuse the word dialogue even for monologue. For example, one of your actors speaks continuously for 3 minutes, giving a lecture on how to live or how to this, that, etc. You call it a dialogue. No, it's a monologue. When a person speaks alone for himself for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, without interruption, without anybody asking any questions, without any kind of distraction, it is called monologue, right? I feel at times that is easier to register. Now, dialogue is a conversation or an argument or exchange of information between two or more people. Di is two, mono is one. So it's more than one person. So what happens with dialogue is I'm talking to you, you're asking me questions, and then I answer, then somebody else comes, and then I have to answer, and then I have to go back to what I was speaking. What happens? Multiple voices, multiple information. That's difficult to remember, but you cannot say it is difficult and not do it. People who do the extra bit become extraordinary, right? You do what everybody does. It's ordinary. Oh, it's difficult, I'm not going to do it. Oh, it's easy, let me do it. Then you are very ordinary. I don't think any of us want to be mediocre or ordinary. We have to do that extra bit to be extraordinary. So do that extra bit and start paying attention to what people speak. And then you will be surprised that you have wonderful memory, you heard, you listened carefully, and you're able to reproduce whatever was spoken. Now, why is it important for you? I'm going to be a CS. I'll be sitting and writing and drafting letters. Why should I know? You will not just be drafting letters. You play a very key role in the organization. You'll have to sit through meetings. You'll have to sit through dialogues. You'll have to sit through negotiations. You'll have to sit through legal discussions. And then you have to pay attention to what each one says, and you'll have to note down, right? So is it not important that you cultivate the skill, the capacity to just to listen to a monologue or dialogue or a multiple information, and then remember and rewrite? That is important, right? Okay. So under this questions based on audio clip, you have monologue and dialogue. And then the third one is you'll have a grammar test. You all have taken up enough and more grammar tests in your school or PU or the ones who are pursuing UG, right? It's very easy. And I've seen the question paper these days. They give a very simple statement with fill in the blank and then the bracket, and they give an option. Most of the time, you just fill it up without knowing the rule because you're familiar with that word, right? And it may be an error, right? So here, nobody is going to give a written grammar test. No, where you have a chance to write an answer, then contemplate, think, or look into neighbor's paper and rewrite. No. Your grammar test will be evaluated when you speak, right? Then you have vocabulary test. What is vocabulary? Imagine your grammar is impeccable. You use the adjective at the right place, adverb at the right place, use the right article, use the right preposition, use the right conjunction. But you don't get the appropriate word. If you hear a 8th standard kid speaking, and if you hear a final year BBA student speaking, there'll be a lot of difference in the choice of words. Or when you hear a lawyer speaking and an advocate speaking, or when you hear a doctor speaking, there are a lot of difference. They use a lot of technical terms. No, okay, we'll take the pandemic now. Pandemic is as old, the word pandemic is as old as English, or probably Latin and Greek, I don't know. But people never use that word, right? Only now with Corona, we have started, COVID rather, we started using the word pandemic. So we got introduced to a new word. I mean, I say we, people who did not know that, right? Similarly, we bluntly say coronavirus. No, coronavirus is a huge term. If you go to a doctor, he will not use the word coronavirus. He would use a specific term. He had coronavirus with SARS and Ebola and COVID-19, etc., neo COVID-19, and I don't know what will be the new name now for the next mutated virus, right? So the doctor's choice of terms to describe the ongoing pandemic is definitely different from a layman like me, right? So there are some technical terms. Or you speak to an advocate, the choice of words he has is different from a layman like me. You go to an insurance agent or somebody who works in the insurance companies, some of the words they use is entirely different. So there are some technical terms which we have to start using because we have chosen the profession. So you have to get used to the technical terms which a CS must know, and also you should improve the vocabulary and general English. So that's under listening skill. So under listening skill, you have questions based on audio clip, under which you have monologue and dialogue, and then you have grammar, and then you have vocabulary. It's not that you don't have any vocabulary at all. You have. We're just honing that. It's not that you don't know grammar at all. Of course, you have passed your second PhD or UG. That obviously means you know, right? You understand what others speak and you speak. We are just honing so that you perform well in your VIVA and get your most coveted 30 marks. The second chapter is on written communication skills. Yeah. A few minutes back, I was telling you the key role you would be playing in an organization where you would be a part of some important discussions, important meetings, where you'll have to write down, note down certain things. After noting down, writing down, you'll have to prepare a document, a technical report, or you'll have to give something like a minutes of the meeting or the summary, right? So you need to improve your writing skills, written communication skills. There are lots of difference between the way we speak and the way we write, not only in English, but in any of the language you speak. Just go back to your mother tongue, right? If you have to write your mother tongue in a paragraph, some ideas, will you be writing the same way? No, there is a difference in the way we form the word. When we speak, it's a little bit of casual, it's a bit slang kind of thing. So you have to learn to write well. So under that, we have about 5 topics, right? One is writing on a given topic. A topic would be given to you. You'll have to write on that. You'll have to learn to write well. Now you may ask, ma'am, this is VIVA VOCE. Why should I learn to write? Yes. Unless you learn to write well, you'll not be able to speak well. Got it? Unless you write well, you'll not be able to speak well. So if you start writing, I'm talking about technical talk. You have to give a technical talk about your area after you're done with your CS and you become a practitioner, right? So you have to learn to write well so that you speak well. Then the next activity would be correcting a given paragraph. You'll be given a paragraph. It will have errors, intentional errors, right? So you will have to look into those errors and rectify. So the errors could be in the areas of spelling, in the areas of wrong choice of words, wrong vocabulary, and also in grammatical structuring. Right? They may not be agreement with subject verb, I may be using a wrong preposition. Got it? So you'll be given up. Now, why is it important that you learn to correct a paragraph? Why? See, your teachers are always smarter than the students. Not exactly because we are smarter than you people, but we have the experience of correcting the wrong answers, right? So the more we correct wrong answers, the more we learn the correct answer. We teachers, I'm talking about us. Same with you. You start doing this activity when you start as a practitioner. When you come across a document which has errors, you'll be able to rectify that well, because documents must be error-free, right? So you will learn that. The second is, when you start rectifying the errors, you will learn better language. The third is short note writing. So you would have had this in your exams, right? All the short note writing and paragraph writing and stuff like that. So why short note writing? The short note writing will be for 3 marks or 5 marks, depending on what class you're in, right? So there'll be a long essay of 10 marks. You're told to make it short and write for 3 marks. So why should you learn to write short notes? When you sit through a meeting, the meeting may go on for 4 hours. You cannot be writing down everything. It's not important, because there are certain things which gets discussed, argued and counter-argued, and opinions changed, opinions given, etc. So something which is very lengthy, you will have to put it in short, because people in the organization, the directors or whoever, which organization you're working, will not have the time or the interest to go through or read everything. So some of it would be redundant, repetitive. So when you write short notes, it becomes easy for that person to understand the gist of whatever is done with the short reading. And you'll also master the art of writing a lengthy conversation with very few words. That's why vocabulary is also important. Then we have essay writing. I don't think you need to be told much about essay writing, because you would have written essays in your schools and colleges, right? You would have written in the class as homework or also in the examination. So how to write an essay, we'll discuss. You know, I know, but again, we'll exchange information, right? Why is essay important? I'll tell you when we discuss. There are certain things which will have to be put creatively, but in your profession, there are certain things, or probably everything, which you have put in a very logical manner, right? There may be an essay which talks about a problem. So when you discuss about the problem, you're supposed to give a feasible, probable, possible solutions. For that, you have to think logically. You have to think analytically. So there are different ways. There'll be problem solution essay, or there'll be cause and effect essay, there'll be chronological essay, or whatever. I mean, we'll discuss about it later. After that, we have Preci writing. Preci, P-R-E-C-I-S. Most of you would have studied this in school. So what is Preci writing? Preci writing is shortening something which is given to you. It could be a document, it could be an essay, it could be an article. You will have to shorten. Now, you may ask me, what is the difference between short notes and Preci writing? Short note is you read something and then you may write in your own words in a shorter version. It could be something like paraphrasing. What is paraphrasing? You read something, whichever language, whichever form, you read something, you understand very well and put it down in a shorter version, right? That is called short notes or paraphrasing. Now, Preci writing, I remember when we were taught, we used to enjoy that for the simple reason we had to sit and count the number of words. The proper rule of Preci writing says that you read the whole article once, count the number of words, physically count the number of words. If it's on the system, it's easy, word count would always be there. And then you'll have to bring it down to 1/3. Got it? Say, for example, there's an article which has 300 words. Now, you are told to Preci write it. You will have to bring it down to 100 words, 1/3, 100 words. Now, how do we choose these 100 words? Random from here or there? No. It has to have a logic. It has to have the essence of it. It cannot get diluted. At the same time, it cannot become complicated and the reader finds it difficult to understand, right? So what do we do? There is a way of understanding how a Preci is written. What is to be included, what is to be not to be included, what is relevant, what is not relevant. So that we'll discuss later, right? Okay. Then third chapter we have is oral communication skill. Now, if you understand the way the topics have progressed, listening skill, written skills or writing, and then speaking skills or oral communication. Got it? You listen, right? You listen how people speak. You listen the choice of words. You listen to the accent. You listen to how the some message is put across. You listen. Then you get into the habit of writing without error. You write a sentence, reread, make corrections, write the next sentence, write a paragraph, go to the next paragraph, try to find out where there's a link between the first paragraph and the second paragraph. It goes on and on, right? So you're practicing writing. Now you have learned to listen, you have learned to write. Now is the time to speak up. Now you may say, why was you just learn to speak? If you don't understand the basics of grammar, if you don't have proper vocabulary, good, sensible vocabulary, right? If you do not know when to interrupt, when not to interrupt, how to hold a conversation, how to participate in a meeting. There are meetings when everybody starts talking, right? Nobody understands anything because everybody wants to prove a point. So when you get into listening skills, you understand how to listen, what word to use, what not to use, what should be the tone, how should be the diction, when should we interrupt, when should we not interrupt, how to listen carefully and then answer well, how to be very smart in answering, how to use the right term, right? So those things we learn in listening skills. Written skills, we learn to write proper formal sentences. That it will help you later when you practice, and also now to do well in your VIVA. I don't know how you people are, but the present generation is such. And when we were studying also, there was some like this. I know they don't read anything in depth. They don't go for a deep understanding of knowledge in any subject. And it's a kind of fad. It's a kind of fancy. It's a kind of, I find it very strange or stupid rather. But it's very nice for children to say, oh, I did not study at all. I just study one day before the examination. Okay, some of them are lucky. They just study one day before the examination or 1 week before the examination, just 1 month before the examination, and they pass and they get good marks. Thank God for that. But if you ask them any question, If you ask them what they wrote in the examination after a few days, they wouldn't be able to repeat. So you scored marks without getting knowledge, right? Without gaining knowledge. And you're not able to connect what they study. Okay, you study economics. At the end of the sessions, you should be able to relate whatever you studied in economics with what is happening in the world now, right? So, irrespective of the subject, it could be economics, it could be accountancy, it could be business communication or legal aptitude or viva versa. Please understand why these chapters are included, these subjects are included, or these concepts are included. It is not just a random pick from there and dump it and prepare the syllabus. No. Sorry. As I told you, it is after much research. People have understood this is the method of learning. So this has to be. So please do not take Viva very casually and say, okay, I can speak English. No, you'll make a mess. I've seen people. I'm sorry, it's not corona. I just had a straight throat. Well, now, so we have understood the importance of this. I'm sorry. We have understood the importance of listening skills and why we must write. Unless we write well, we will not be able to speak well. If you don't improve all these skills now, you will not be a great CS. You'll be a CS. I remember when in school, when you used to have running race. I mean, I never have been a sports person. My sports IQ is very low. We also ran. Probably if the 10 students, I was the 10th one to come. I don't know. Or maybe 8th one or 7th one. Right? All of us run and reach the line. Finishing line or winning line. But there's always a difference between the one who reached first and the one who reached somewhere the 5th or 6th and the one who reached last. So when you take up any activity or when you take up a profession, it should not be, I also ran. I also am a CA. I also am a CS. I'm also an engineer. I'm also a doctor. I'm also a teacher. No, I am the teacher. I am the doctor. I am the CS. So the knowledge gather should be so rich, right? That's the reason I'm stressing on paying attention to each and every concept that has been included in your syllabus in all subjects. Is it clear? Okay. Now, going back to the third chapter, oral communication. Here, the candidates are expected to answer a question. Very simple. The candidates are expected to answer a question. But what is not simple is, what would be the question? Right? What would be the question? Okay, somebody may say, introduce yourself. Right? You start saying, I'm so and so, my name is this. No, there is a way to speak. Right? You start talking about your school and suddenly you go to your sports and then again here you mess up. No, there is a way to put across yourself. And somebody listens to the way you put across yourself, they'll be so impressed, they'll hire you on spot. Answering the question is not everyone's cup of tea. I've seen this sometimes, when we drive and we lost, I'm talking about before you could use Google Map. Even Google Map always is not very helpful. We stop somewhere to ask a person for the direction. You say, where is this place? You go straight and then left and right and then you take a turn and come. Would you understand? According to him, he has answered well. Every word he has used is correct. Go straight, take a left, take a right, and then take a turn. What's wrong with that? But when you start driving, you come back to the same place. So answering question is not as simple as we presume it to be. So we must learn the art of answering a question. Then you'll be given a topic and you'll have to speak on that. You'll be given a topic. It could be any topic. No, nobody would be asking how to build a rocket. Definitely not. We are not so idiotic, right? Foolish, right? We will be asking questions which are very, very relevant to your subject, right? When I say subject, it is not only viva voce. I may be asking a question which may be from economics or maybe something which is general knowledge. I may be asking some question about, the geo thing now, or something about Google or something about Facebook, because this is where your where your life is now. You spend a lot of time on these platforms, these interfaces and this. So you're always on IG, you're always on Facebook, you're always on Google, and then I ask a question, you don't know. You don't go beyond Mark Zuckerberg and this and that, right? So you need to, at the same time, I don't say that you should know everything about everything. It's not possible. But some of the things, keeping your profession in mind, keeping your educational qualification in mind, keeping the chosen profession in mind, keeping the fact how you spend your time, your hobby, which part of the world you come from. If I ask you something about Timbuktu in Africa, no, I don't expect you to know. If you know, it's great. But if I ask you something about India or about your state where you're from, you should be able to answer. So we may be giving a topic, you should be able to answer. Now, how do you speak? We'll discuss that later. Then explain the given term. In business communication or legal aptitude, probably, you'll be coming across a lot of terms, technical terms, and most of them would be, Latin-based kind of a thing, because all of you would be knowing that English originated from Latin, Greek, and still, even now, there are some terms which we use. In our official work. Say, for example, you take your legal law as a subject, or you talk to an advocate. There are not many terms, or you read a kind of a thing given by the judge or a lawyer. You see that they would have used certain terms which are of Latin origin. And it continues to be the same. We don't have an English alternate. We don't use, or we don't have, I don't know, but we don't use, right? So you'll have to become very familiar with some of the technical terms given, right? So how do you learn them? Okay, how do you learn? How did you learn your mother tongue? How did you learn certain songs? How do you learn, the lyrics of the songs? Or how did you learn some of your rhymes when you're in school? You would be knowing some short little stories which you heard when you're small, or which you read when you're small. How do you know them? Because you heard them over and again. Your mother would have told the same story. Teacher also told the same story. And your grandmother also told the same story. So it's gone in there, right? You know the lyric of certain songs because you have heard the song so often. You played the song so often. You did not put any effort to learn the lyric. It just comes to you, right? So how do you learn? You have to become familiar with that. Make a list of all these terms, right? Put it up on your study room or above your study table. Read them. Make an effort to learn one word per day, but read about 10 words a day. You tell your prayers. You tell your holy scriptures. Some of you, at least, a few things you know. You never put that extra effort to sit and ram your brain and learn. No. So keep reading. Right from the day you get your materials, go through that. And whenever you're not doing anything, like most of the time you'll be just watching something on the television, the brain actually is not required to be very active there. So try to recollect this word, because when you've taken a profession, you have to put that extra effort to ensure that you excel in that, right? Okay. Now, so you have an understanding of your syllabus. Okay. What is it called? Presentation and communication skills. Now, when I read the title, I thought I'll come back to that. What is presentation? Like I told you, the moment I say presentation, most of them feel it is a PowerPoint presentation. No, everything is a presentation. Like I always give this example because it happens in everybody's house. When your mothers cook or parents cook, whoever cooks at home and lays the table, it is a presentation of what she has cooked or what he has cooked, right? Or if they just cook and then dump everything straight from the stove or the microwave, just keep it on the table, and then the plates are not laid, the mats are not laid, water is not kept, tumblers are not laid. It looks very messy, bad presentation. On the other hand, the mats are laid, the plates are kept, and then food is kept in a presentable manner. That is also a presentation. You dress up well for some occasion. That's also a presentation. It may not be to impress people, but maybe for your satisfaction. That is presentation. So when I use the word presentation, don't get into the mindset of PowerPoint presentation. So now here, vis-a-vis your course, what is this presentation? The way you present your knowledge, the way you introduce yourself, the way you showcase your learning is called presentation. So VIVA is about presentation. How well would you introduce yourself? My name is this. No, that's a very boring way of presenting yourself. So there's an art of doing that. You have to talk about what you're good at, what you're not good at. You have to sort of very smartly put across why you have chosen CS. You cannot say, my father told you become a CS, so I'm learning. Then you cannot say, no, I could not become an engineer, so I thought I should have a profession, so I took up CS. That's the most lame, way of introducing yourself. So there should be a smart way of presenting it. So that's what we mean by presentation. So all this listening skill, written skill, or oral skill will help you to present well. So presentation and communication. What is communication? Communication is exchange of any information, information, idea, whatever it is, between two or more people. Simple, but it's not so very simple, because most of the time the fight, the arguments, the court cases, the legal issues, partnership or falling off of partnership, all this happened because something was not communicated well, right? I'm having a session now and somebody comes and says, shows something. I said, keep it there. Nothing wrong. I said, keep it there. Probably I have in my mind, don't disturb, keep it on your table. But that person would have felt, okay, I should keep on ma'am's table because I always keep it on her table. So she keeps it here. I lose my temper because of the distraction. Later, if I get into an argument, she says, no, ma'am, whenever you say keep it there, we always have kept on your table. Yes, I was not clear. Her question was fine. Where should I keep? Right? What should I have answered? Keep it on your table. For me, there is her table. For her, there is my table. Simple things, very, very simple things. You're not going to kill each other for this, but it leads to a kind of rancor, a kind of, kind of bitterness or not a pleasant feeling. So it keeps on happening. And most of the time, we argue saying that we are right. I told you, you did not understand. Does it serve any purpose? No. So we have to learn the art of communicating well. Communication is successful. Communication is effective when the receiver of information, the person who hears you or listens to you, understands the message the way you want her or him to understand. That is a successful communication. Then, if it's not understood that way, it is a miscommunication. So, this 15 sessions, I think the sessions should be starting from 1st of August. Excel Academy would be orienting you on this. Presume that it starts from 1st of August. They would be allotting us sessions. I would be meeting you for 15 days, 15 continuous days in the time given to me. We will be discussing this. We'll have online classes. Now that you have understood the syllabus, you may prepare your questions, keep it ready so that we have a discussion, right? Don't wait for the teachers to come and tell you everything. Be prepared so that you can ask us questions. The sessions becomes very interesting when you have queries. We'll not get angry if you ask questions, right? So let all our sessions, all the 15 sessions we have, be very, very interactive. What I generally do is I take first 10 sessions to complete the syllabus, which I discussed with you now. And other 5 sessions will be, practical session where I conduct VIVA for you all. We had a couple of VIVA VOCE. I would want to have one more because the student opted. It was very nice of him to have volunteered. And when you volunteer and take it for the first time, you're not very comfortable. Second time, you're slightly better. Third time, probably you do wonderfully well. So I was also not very tough on him, right? So we may have one more VIVA where we have a proper VIVA where he has to speak on a topic, where he has to explain some terms and all that. The same thing would be with this batch. We have 5 days, 5 dedicated days, or if the number is more, if you are more in number, we'll request Alok sir to give us more sessions for this VIVA VOCE. We will have, for each one of us, each student enrolled here will have a practical session of VIVA. It is not true. Those sessions will not be to to promote or to give a kind of opinion. It is just for us to learn. I may also make a lot of mistakes during VIVA. You too may make mistakes. Together, we'll try to work on the mistakes. Done? So meanwhile, I just want to find out if there are any queries from, no, I think. None of you have come up with any queries? Okay. Now, if you're fine, if you're clear, and if you don't have any queries as such, I would conclude. See you all soon. Wish you all the very best.